Greetings. Man, this is going to be rambling. I'm really tired. Anyway. I want to talk a little bit tonight about the controlled opposition idea. And basically just complete staged politics. That people deal within that frame, though. They're still in that frame. And that's too bad. Now it's kind of like this personality politics thing continues. Trump is still center stage as the main distracto foil. There he is. Boom, Trump. Everybody's still hating him, and a few people still like him, and other people in the Republican Party now talking about why they hate him, So, but they're all talking about him still, right? And Gavin Newsom and stuff like, celebrities, Marjorie Taylor Greene. People like that, okay? These are real people. They're politicians. They're in our sphere. But we're still not talking about any kind of agenda, that we would create, that we would want, that some sort of popular movement. Now, I see, when you go looking around, you see lots of beautiful names, lots of orgs out there. Some of them are these kind of non-profit-y orgs. Some of them are struggling, just trying to get started, whatever. But the point is they don't have any reach, they don't have any access in the media environment of today. People that are, say, focused on affordable health care, fighting back against the HMO health care. You don't see them. They're not center stage. We're not hearing that, So that's what we need. We need to get an agenda, for the people. Stick to that. And get away from this celebrity tit-for-tat stuff, right? Which now also includes the specter of World War III, nuclear war, That's not just an idle threat either. They're really seeming to go for it, And, but what that means, though, is that the people of the like the residents, the citizens of America, but also I would say like Germany and France, much of Europe, they have surrendered. They're not in control of anything, and with the people that are clamoring, oh, we got to save democracy, they're not trying to save you, They're not trying to save democracy. They're actually afraid of democracy. They don't want democracy to happen. Why they don't want comment threads underneath things that appear online. They don't want comment threads there. They want to control the narrative, if you will, or the sort of known information about any given thing that they're pumping at that time. They want to be able to control that. So we also need independent media again. Shouldn't there be, like, for example, at indiemedia.org that actually has some reach that you actually hear about every now and then? That people put effort into, that it keeps going, that it's relatively democratic, it's not controlled by any one political faction or other. It just has to be a good independent news thing. And there's tons of shows. There's tons of good independent news out there. I got on the net for a few minutes today and it was like, Bad Faith. That's a great show. Great podcast. There's lots of great shows out there, but again, they're all in their own little ghetto. They're not part of the dialogue. What I want to have happen is when I go to the grocery store or when I go to work or when I go somewhere, people spontaneously bring up something that they saw on indiemedia.org. And it was this story about how people are organizing to create more green space in their city against the will of the realtors who have abandoned them or whatever. They've actually organized and they're going to get more green space for themselves. Strips along roads and parks and things like that because they realize that having more green space is great for your health and great for your mental health and great for your kids. And it's great having more green space. That's something poor people don't get that. If they don't fight for it, if they don't want it, their world turns into a place for other people to drive through. It turns into, a cement barren land. And that's bad. It's bad for their overall well-being. Citizen of the city. There's also an incredible lack. Now, there's some produce here and there, and there's some stuff. But, it's not that good. And there's not enough of it. There's tons of Frito-Lay, tons of beer, and 40s, and cigarettes, and stuff like that, And not a whole lot of nutrition. And so these are issues. These are kind of like real issues that would really affect the quality of life. But no one's talking about it because the celebrity thing continues. The celebrity tit for tat. Gavin Newsom, oh my God. I just love him and his teeth and his long neck and his flip back hair and Gavin Newsom, the way he's so snarky, the things he says to Donald Trump, I just love it. Oh my God, I just love watching this televised tit for tat between Gavin Newsom and Trump. What about the thing with Elon and Trump, right? How that all started and just Trump's just shaking his head and everything's cool and they're together and doing things, and Elon just basically like the tech bros, if you really look at it, we're just kind of giving, hey, help us out, help us clean up some of the tech or some of these ideas that were kind of when you first heard about Doge or what they were going to do, like, oh, it makes sense. There's all this redundant code that no one has fixed. It's amazing. It's like they're in the Stone Ages. We're going to fix that. That's all going to run cheaper, faster, better, right? That all sounds good. Oh, look, we found all this incredible waste. Since they had all these stories of just like, frogs being trained on, for $1 billion grant, to frogs being trained to watch TV or something, just crazy grants that they found. And that all seems super wasteful and super obvious, Oh God, it was in the way they went about it and things they actually are cutting now, and Elon's gone, and it's like the whole thing is just Bizarroville, which ends up being bad if it's sort of the way it's going. Like I haven't analyzed these Medicare cuts, the Social Security cuts, and that's really scary, right? If that's in fact happening. What are they talking about? What are we really talking about? What's permanently getting put in place as a cut for, people that deserve it? What's happening? Who knows? You got to find out these details. That's what matters. Details matter. But, all right. Well, hey, I think that's pretty good for today's Ramblin' Rant. Celebrity politics all over the world, by the way. Macron and France and... what's her name in Germany, and and they're in the same sort of weird, a lot of identity politics and virtue signaling and just weird, bad politics. None of it's working out great for the working class or the people that live in those countries. It's all kind of going bad. So I don't know. Focus up. People's agenda, people's platform. Coalition building. What if you heard more coalition building rhetoric than you did Trump voters are Nazis? Trump voters are terrorists, domestic terrorists, January 6th protesters, even the ones that just kind of wandered in there and didn't. Yeah, no, they're all terrorists, right? Maybe a little less of that, a little less of that kind of rhetoric, those kind of agendas going along with the police state. That's not a great look. That's bad. So, you don't want to do that, just rise above, so, hey, when they try to hype up the January 6th thing again or deflect us from talking about something relevant, let's not let it happen. I'd say, okay, great. Well, we're done with talking about that. We still want to talk about, the budget today or whatever. You catch my drift. Have a good one.